All right, so welcome to another Tony Two Tough video. You're probably wondering what I'm holding in my hand, and these are antler buttons, right here. Little antler button. Let me find one that I've kind of polished around the edges a little bit already. All right, you got a couple of holes in there. They're rounded off at the edges. I got one little toggle, which is the tip. All right, let me show you what I worked off of. This was literally a store-bought antler. I bought it for Winston as a chew toy. He had nothing to do with it, did not want it until another dog started chewing on it. And then, of course, he found interest in it. Once that dog left, he could care less about it. So this became mine now. This is my buttons here. Now, that's what they look like raw. Well, sort of raw. I sliced them off individually. Now they're still oval shaped. What I'm going to be doing today is just working these down. Now, but I got this box out here to show you. So let's show you what's in the box, the bone box. Ta-da. This is beef bone, by the way. So in beef bone, these are the buttons that I make with beef bone. I made these for my flannel. These are the ones that I have left over, but this is pretty much so it. These are little beef bones, and they came from a stock piece like this. See if you can see them with the light, right? And then I'll just cut a slice off using, I didn't even have this saw, but this saw works even way better. But all this ridge right here, that's workable. See that crunchy stuff on the inside? That's like a marrowy, it's not very structurally sound. There's some chunky stuff I can get off of that. You can see that's where I carved and got a chunk off already. I do keep a mask in here because you don't want to breathe in bone dust. Speaking of bone dust, I got some bone dust in there. Just because I saved it. Didn't know what I could use it for. That's my bone box collection. I had to refine them. So how do I refine these? How do we get these down? So we're going to take one that looks like this. We're going to make it look closer to this. All right. I got to get these. See how it looks like an egg, and that one looks a little more round? Well, this will be round when it's done. Here's how we do it. And it's just by brute force. So I start with one of the oval ends, and just a matter of doing this. There we go. Now, getting a little closer to where I need to be at. Work on a little bit of a different edge. Kind of get it rounded out. You get the idea. Every once in a while, give a little blow of that bone dust. You don't really don't want to breathe that stuff in. It's not good. Back to the grind, literally. See that? I'm going to work this one to get it similar. I'm glad I have a metal file. Our forefathers would have used a piece of sandstone or something to do this, which would have took a lot longer. But, you know, hey, they didn't have to commute to work. They didn't have to fight traffic. So there was like an extra hour and a half of their day to work to make up for all that. We're getting more closer to a round shape. See that? It's already starting to look rounder. We're just going to get some of these sharp edges off. Now it's time to do some detailed work. Now I can hold it like this and look at it under the light. See where I need to round some edges up. Make my way around it. Take out some high spots. I'm going to eventually get away of all that brown stuff because it's got this natural color right here. I like to keep it, but I can't. It's going to have to go because, you know, it's got to be round to fit through the hole. I'm assuming. Maybe it doesn't have to be round. Maybe it could be square. I don't know. I'm breaking all the rules. I'm making my own damn buttons. Who makes the buttons? I do. Tony Too Tough does. Why? Because nobody else is doing it. That's why I'm literally doing it, because nobody else is doing it. And while I got you here and we're just filing, I might as well just tell you, this is literally how buttons were made for all of mankind before China started making them out of plastic. So it's the reason why buttons look this color. It's why. They look this color right here. Right there. That's the bone color. That's it. Why? Because they were made with bones. They were made out of antler. They were made like this. And if you lived by the sea, you would use shell, right? And if you were really fancy, you'd use the mother of pearl part of the shell, and that's when you get that really colorful outside look to it, and that's what you would use to button up your fancy shirts. We're getting close to it. There's going to be 8 buttons that go down the length of the shirt, right? There's just going to be that many that go down the length of the shirt. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Then there is going to be 2 buttons for the sleeves, one for the left, or one for the right, one for the left. Then there's going to be 2 collar buttons, which I saved the small ones for. Those are going to go at the collar that attach to the shirt from the collar to keep your collar in place. And then, now that I have all the buttons in place, then I'm going to sew these 2 to the inside of the button part of the shirt. At the very last button on the inside will be these 2. This is a spare. This is for the collar in case I lose a collar, and this is in case I lose a button on either side. Total of 14 altogether. Now, I got this really cool toggle. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to use it at. Probably going to go on one of my bags, but I'd like to make a lot of these. These are pretty daggone cool. Sometimes you just got to go into the woods, get your dirt on. Maybe that includes an antler. Make your own buttons. Go on now. Now get!